Good evening to all of you. Okay, got you. Hello. So, we'll just wait for 1 or 2 more minutes till the others join. Last lecture I couldn't take. There's some technical issues. Okay, just wait for 2, 3 more minutes. कुछ doubts हैं बच्चों? You're clear with the ganglions and all? Yes, students. We'll just revise things. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Maya, good evening. Manikarnika, good evening. Pankudi, Naresh, Prerna, good evening. Because Mohit has not come. Pranav, Mohit, Arthak has come. Okay. We'll start. Good evening. Hello, good evening to all of you. I'll start now. Just have a look. The last time I was telling you about the ganglions. We were discussing the parasympathetic nervous system. Hi, Naresh. Okay, fine. So we were discussing the parasympathetic nervous system. And I told you parasympathetic nervous system is what an outflow. What is the outflow of parasympathetic nervous system? It is craniosacral. Craniosacral. So the cranial outflow. अच्छा, वेरी गुड सुमया, वेरी गुड. डिसेक्शन था. यू जस्ट अटेंड द लेक्चर्स, सब कुछ इजी हो जाएगा, डोंट वरी. यस. ओके, वेरी गुड. तो देखो बच्चों, वी वर डिस्कसिंग द सेक्रल आउटफ्लो. वी वर डिस्कसिंग द क्रेनियल आउटफ्लो ऑफ द पैरासिम्पैथेटिक नर्वस सिस्टम. वो कैसे था? क्रेनियल आउटफ्लो. तो वेयर डज इट बिगिन फ्रॉम? जस्ट a cranial outflow of parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system, where does this begin from? Brainstem. It begins from the brainstem. Wait. Now just listen. They begin from the brainstem. They come to the ganglions, and then they will supply the gland. ये मैंने easy way में बताया था आपको. So where does the parasympathetic nervous system? Cranial outflow. We are discussing the cranial outflow. दूसरा होता है sacral outflow. तो cranial outflow कहाँ से begin होता है? Brainstem से. Where do they come to? The ganglions, and then the fibers will supply the gland. What are these fibers known as? ये fibers को क्या बोलते हैं आप? These are known as the preganglionic fiber. Preganglionic fiber. What are these ganglion? This fiber is known as the postganglionic fiber. These are the preganglionic and the postganglionic fibers. Now, who carries the preganglionic fibers? कोई बोल सकता है? Who carries the preganglionic fibers of the parasympathetic nervous system? Third, seventh, ninth, and 10th cranial nerve. Third, 7, 3, 7, 9, and 10 cranial nerves. They carry the cranial outflow. They carry the preganglionic fibers. 3, 7, 9, and 10. And who carries, and which are the ganglions? ये ganglions कौन से होते हैं? One is pterygopalatine, photic, submandibular, very good, submandibular, and चौथा कौन सा है? Which is the one left? Ciliary ganglion. ये ganglions होते हैं. And the postganglionic fibers are going to supply the glands. ये general statement है बच्चों, ये general statement है. Now, which are the glands that we are talking about? We are talking about the submandibular glands. कौन से होते हैं? Submandibular, sublingual. Very good. Submandibular, sublingual, nasal glands, palatine glands, pharyngeal glands, and parotid gland. Parotid gland. ये एक जनरल स्टेटमेंट है. So now I'll tell you the details of this. हाँ, इसके details में जाते हैं अभी अपन. We'll go into the details of this. So just understand, where does the cranial outflow of parasympathetic nervous system begin? Brainstem में. अब ये जो preganglionic fibers होंगे बच्चों, who are going to carry the preganglionic fibers? The cranial nerves. Which cranial nerves? 3, 7, 9 and 10 cranial nerve. 3rd, 7, 9th and 10th cranial nerve. अब ये cranial nerve, hi, good evening Asif, no problem. Now this cranial nerves will come and relay in the ganglions, है ना? And what will begin from this ganglions are the postganglionic fibers. अब ये postganglionic fibers क्या supply करेंगे? The glands. Okay. So now we talking about, ये clear है? I'm talking about the nerve supply of parotid gland. हाँ, nerve supply of parotid gland. Just understand this now. ये general statement है. Now we are specific to the parotid, but before that, just write down one statement. All the glands, ये एक statement लिख लो. All the glands in head and neck. All the glands in head and neck are supplied by. All the glands in the head and neck are supplied by facial nerve. Except parotid, which is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve. Vagus supplies the glands of GIT. Vagus supplies the glands of GIT. See, all the glands in the head and neck are not body. Body नहीं बोल रहे अपन. All the glands in the head and neck are supplied by which nerve, students? Facial nerve. All the glands of head and neck are supplied by whom? Facial nerve. Except a gland here which is not supplied by facial nerve. It is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve. What is that? Parotid gland. So the parotid gland is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve. What glands is the vagus nerve supply? The vagus nerve supplies the glands of GIT. And what is the third nerve supply? The third nerve supplies, बस ये एक exception है बच्चा, ये एक exception है. Third nerve does not supply any gland. No. Third nerve does not supply any gland, but it supplies two muscles which are parasympathetic. Which are those two muscles? Sphincter pupillae and ciliaris. Third nerve does not supply any gland. Remember, बच्चा, third nerve supply two muscles. One is the sphincter pupillae and ciliaris. ये दोनों parasympathetic होते हैं. These are parasympathetic in nature. That is why third nerve does not supply any gland, but still we include the third nerve in this. Okay? So now you tell me. See, facial nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, vagus, and third nerve. What do they carry? You tell me. The facial nerve, the glossopharyngeal nerve, the vagus nerve, and the third nerve. ये क्या carry करते हैं? They carry the preganglionic parasympathetic fibers. है ना? कौन carry करता है parasympathetic fibers? 3, 7, 9, and 10. This cranial nerves. And what do they supply? They supply the glands. अब देखो glands देखो. All the glands in the head and neck, parotid, glands of GIT, and these two muscles. समझ में आ रही है? Are you able to following? Yes, very good. Now I'll make it still simple for you. बच्चों, I'll make it still simple. थोड़ा सा difficult है ये. This is difficult, no doubt. Now look, we'll start with the nerve supply of parotid gland. Huh? Nerve supply of parotid gland. ये मैंने आपको बोला था, but I'll just write this once again. Nerve supply of the parotid gland. Now you tell me. Third nerve supplies sphincter pupillae and ciliaris. ये eye muscles नहीं है बच्चा. These are not eye muscles. Eye muscles are different muscles. These are the muscles used for accommodation. sphincter pupillae and ciliaris. ये क्या करते हैं? Accommodation करते हैं. And these are parasympathetic in nature. Understand? These are not the muscles of the eye. ये extraocular muscles नहीं है. These are different muscles. ठीक है बच्चों? ठीक? Okay, पंखुड़ी? Fine. Now understand this. Now just concentrate on this. Concentrate on this. अब बोलो, just answer बच्चों. Which is the nerve which supplies the parotid gland? Answer this. Which nerve supplies the parotid gland? Cranial nerve. Cranial nerve. अभी अपन ने डिस्कस किया. We've just discussed this. Which is the cranial nerve which supplies the parotid? बोलो बच्चों बोलो. Cranial nerve supplying the parotid. Which is the cranial nerve supplying the parotid gland? Bolo? Glossopharyngeal nerve. Glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, before that, I'll come to the ganglions. Ek minute, I'll just tell you the ganglions, then this thing will be clear. Now, see, this is how a ganglion looks. ऐसे एक ganglion होता है. Third nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve. This is how a ganglion looks. ऐसे ganglion होता है. Now, this ganglion cannot just lie like this. ऐसे कैसे रहेगा? There has to be someone who's going to suspend the ganglion. The ganglion has to be hanging from something. तो एक nerve होगा and the ganglion is hanging from a nerve. बच्चों the ganglion is just hanging from the nerve, nothing else. और कुछ नहीं कर रहा है वो. It is just supporting the ganglion, and this is what we call as a structural relation. Structural relation. अब just understand this. ये थोड़ा सा अलग टॉपिक है ganglions का. So this is what we call as a structural relation. The books mention this as the topographical relation. Topographical. मतलब the ganglion is just hanging from the nerve. बस वो just hang हो रहा है. Now बच्चा, there's another nerve. Look. There's another nerve. And this nerve enters the ganglion. It enters the ganglion. It relays in the ganglion. And it sends this fibers. अब बोलो बच्चों, what are these fibers? ये क्या fibers होंगे? These are the pre-ganglionic fibers. Pre-ganglionic. ये ganglion आ गया. अब ये क्या होगा? Post-ganglionic fiber. And what does this post-ganglionic fiber supply? They supply the glands. They will supply the glands. And where does this pre-ganglionic fiber begin from? Brainstem. Pre-ganglionic fiber begins from the brainstem, right? The nerve begins from the brainstem. The nerve comes in the ganglion. The nerve relays in the ganglion, and अब ये post ganglionic fiber देगा, which is going to supply the gland. This is the relation. This is what we call as the functional relation. Functional relation. समझ में आ रहा है? थोड़ा सा difficult है. It will take some time. Wait, listen. मतलब ganglion is related to two nerves. Ganglion is related to two nerves. One, it is hanging from a nerve. वो क्या relation होगा? Structural. अब एक दूसरा nerve है which is coming in the ganglion, relaying the ganglion and sending post-ganglionic fibers. आप इसे क्या बोलोगे? Functional relation. Functional. हाँ? मतलब ganglion is related to two nerves. एक होगा structural relation, दूसरा होगा functional relation. Okay, you'll understand this. Give me some time. Thoda time though, you'll understand. It takes time to understand these topics. Now, I'll just mention the names of the ganglions. The first ganglion is pterygopalatine, ciliary, otic. Dekho mata, don't write this down. Don't write this. I'll give you time. These are the four ganglions: pterygopalatine, ciliary, otic, and submandibular. Now we start with structural relation and functional relation. Structural and functional. Remember, bacha, once again, structural matlab the ganglion is hanging from the nerve. Now you tell me, pterygopalatine ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Can anyone tell me this? Pterygopalatine ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Pterygopalatine ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Look at this. That's the pterygopalatine ganglion. I'll tell you, Smaranya, wait, bacha, wait. This is the pterygopalatine ganglion. Students, And what is this nerve? What is this nerve through which it is hanging? What is this nerve? Bolo, can anyone tell me? I'll tell you, Smaran, I'll tell you, wait. This pterygopalatine ganglion is hanging from this nerve, maxillary nerve. Excellent. Very good, very good, very good. चलो, very nice. मतलब what is this relation? ये relation को क्या बोलोगे? Structural. समझ में आ रहा है ये? इसे हम बोलेंगे structural relation. Students, what is this ganglion? What is this ganglion? In the orbit, in the eye, what is that ganglion? Ciliary ganglion. That's a ciliary ganglion. And what is this nerve, bachcho? What is this nerve? That's the nasociliary nerve. Nasociliary nerve. So the ciliary ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Nasociliary nerve. ये क्या relation होगा? Structural. समझ में आ रहा है ये? Right. Now you tell me, students, what is this ganglion? ये कौन है? What is this ganglion? Can anyone answer this? What is this ganglion? Very good. You are answering very well. ये क्या ganglion होगा? Submandibular ganglion. आपको पता है बच्चों? You know this. That's a submandibular ganglion. And this is hanging from which nerve? Can anyone tell me what is this nerve? What is this nerve? What is this nerve? What is this nerve? Submandibular ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Lingual nerve, right? And which muscle does it lie on? Hyoglossus. It lies on the hyoglossus muscle, right? Okay, and what is this ganglion? This is the otic ganglion. And this otic ganglion is related to which nerve? Mandibular nerve. Okay, fine. Very good. We'll just finish this. ये पहले लिख लेते हैं, then you write. I'll give you time. एक मिनट, just देख लो पहले, देख लो. So pterygopalatine ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Maxillary nerve. Maxillary. Ciliary ganglion is hanging from nasociliary. Otic ganglion is related to mandibular nerve. And the submandibular ganglion is related to lingual nerve. लिंगुअल नहीं, वो मैंडिबुलर है बच्चा, मैंडिबुलर है. सुमिया, दैट्स नॉट ऑरिकुलोटेम्पोरल. आप लिख लो ये, जस्ट राइट दिस डाउन. Yes, very good. Can anyone tell me what is common here? इन सब में कॉमन क्या है? What is common in all this? Can anyone tell me? There's something common. स्मरण्य, वेट नो. स्मरण्य, बोलता हूँ, वेट नो. पहले जो बोल रहा हूँ उस पर ध्यान दो स्मरण्य. बाद में मैं बोलूंगा व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन स्ट्रक्चरल एंड फंक्शनल. आई टेल यू, जस्ट वेट. वो ऐसे नहीं समझता है. पहले जो बोल रहा हूँ वो समझ लो. व्हाट इज कॉमन इन ऑल दिस? बोल सकते हो? What is common in all this? Anything that comes to your mind? Which mind में आ रहा है? Something common to all this? Yes, very good. Sumaya, very good. These are all branches of trigeminal nerve. Yes. These are all branches of what? Trigeminal nerve. समझ में आ रहा है? मतलब देखिए, maxillary is a direct branch of trigeminal. Mandibular is a direct branch of trigeminal. Lingual is a branch of mandibular, which is a branch of trigeminal nerve. And nasociliary is a branch of ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. That means ये जितने भी ganglions है, these are all hanging from one of the branches of trigeminal nerve. Am I clear? Very good. अब इसका फंक्शनल रिलेशन देखिए. फंक्शनल रिलेशन का मतलब क्या है? व्हाट इज फंक्शनल रिलेशन? यस बच्चों, व्हाट इज फंक्शनल? देखो, स्ट्रक्चरल क्या होता है? स्मरण्य, लिसन. ये गैंग्लियन है. द गैंग्लियन इज हैंगिंग फ्रॉम अ नर्व. बस इट इज जस्ट हैंगिंग फ्रॉम अ नर्व. व्हाट इज दिस रिलेशन? स्ट्रक्चरल. ये स्ट्रक्चरल हो गया. अब एक दूसरा नर्व है. दिस अनदर नर्व. दिस नर्व comes from the brainstem. release in the ganglion, ये होगा pre-ganglionic fiber. And what is this fiber? Post-ganglionic fiber. And this post-ganglionic fiber supplies the glands. अगर ये है, this is what we call as functional relation. Clear, Smaranya? So what is functional relation? When a nerve comes from the brainstem, the nerve relays in the ganglion and sends post-ganglionic fiber जो gland को supply करेगा. This is what we call as the functional relation. You understand this topic, students, you will have understood the most difficult topic in head and neck. Understand? Difficult है, but it's very interesting. एक बार ये समझ में आएगा ना, you will enjoy it. And नहीं समझता वो normally, the other students will not understand. So you explain. आप explain करिए friends को. The more you explain, the more your topics are going to be clear. Okay? चलो, now you tell me. Now, the pterygopalatine ganglion is functionally related to which nerve? 7. The ciliary ganglion is related to 3rd nerve. The otic ganglion is related to 9th nerve, and the submandibular ganglion is related to the 7th nerve. 7397. वेगस का कोई गैंग्लियन नहीं होता है. वेगस का कोई गैंग्लियन नहीं होता है. कुछ में आ रहा है ये? हो गया, लिख के हो गया. If you're done, you tell me. 7397. Okay, if you can answer this question, what is the functional relation represent? What does the functional relation represent? अगर ये आंसर कर सकते हो, you've understood it. What is the functional component represent? बोलो. What does the functional component represent? Any guess? Guess करो ना बच्चों. Guess करो. नहीं? What does the functional component represent? The nerve supplying the gland. Anything else? Anything else? Can you think? Yes, you're coming close. You're coming close to the answer. You're coming close to the answer. What does the functional component represent? If you can answer this, थोड़ा सा stretch करो brain को. थोड़ा सा stretch करो imagination. What does the functional component represent? One word. One word. One word. What is no Sartak nahi. Oh, what does a functional component represent? I'll answer. मैं आंसर करूं? हाँ तो वो क्या है प्रेरणा? What is that? The nerve supplying the gland, relaying from the gland. वो क्या है? That is the parasympathetic nervous system. The functional component is representing what? The parasympathetic nervous system. Functional component is the parasympathetic nervous system. मतलब the nerve begins from the brainstem, comes in the ganglion, relays in the ganglion. अब जो post ganglionic fiber जाएगा to supply the glands, that is functional. That is parasympathetic nervous system. समझ में आ रहा है? You'll understand it. Look, this is beautiful. You understand it now. हाँ, एक मिनट अभी देखो. मतलब just tell me one thing. Just tell me one thing. I'll make it still simple for you. हाँ. ये brainstem है. Suppose ये brainstem है. Which nerve is this? Ninth nerve. Ninth nerve. The ninth nerve begins from the brainstem. The ninth nerve will enter a ganglion. ये बोल सकते हो? ये क्या ganglion होगा? अब specific है. Specific है. The ninth nerve will enter which ganglion? Answer this. Which is this ganglion? We're talking about ninth nerve. Ninth nerve will enter which ganglion? Which is the ganglion functionally related to glossopharyngeal nerve? नहीं समझ में आ रहा है? which is this ganglion, otic ganglion. And ये जो post ganglionic fibers होंगे ना, what are they going to supply? The parotid. What is this relation? What is this relation of the ganglion? इसे बोलते हैं functional relation. इसे बोलते हैं functional relation. And this otic ganglion is hanging from which nerve? This otic ganglion is hanging from which nerve? ये क्या होगा उसका structural relation. अब clear है? So this becomes the structural relation and this becomes the functional relation. To make it very easy. Clear? Yes. Very good. वैसे ही सेवन नर्व बोलिए सेवन नर्व. Look, seven nerve. Seven nerve will begin from where? Brainstem. What are these fibers? These are the pre-ganglionic fiber. Pre-ganglionic fiber. Now this pre-ganglionic fiber would be coming to a ganglion. It would be coming to a ganglion. This two ganglions. No ganglions are facial nerve case. So this two pre-ganglionic fibers would be coming to this ganglions. And from here the post-ganglionic fibers would go to supply the gland. Now what is this ganglion? This is the pterygopalatine ganglion. ये कौन है? Submandibular ganglion. ये submandibular ganglion. So what will this supply? The submandibular, the sublingual will supply the submandibular and sublingual gland. What is this going to supply? Nasal, palatine, pharyngeal, lacrimal. ये क्या रिलेशन हो गया बोलो? What is this relation? This is functional relation. ये है functional relation. अब बोलो बच्चों, this ganglion is hanging from which nerve and this ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Tell me. The pterygopalatine ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Maxillary. And the submandibular ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Lingual. ये क्या होगा उसका structural relation. ये होगा उसका structural relation. Understand it? Are you able to follow what is structural, what is functional? Students, समझ में आ रही है? अभी I'll tell you the flow chart. Now it will be easy. अभी और easy हो जाएगा. देखो. We start with the nerve supply of parotid gland. Now look. What is the name? See, who supplies the parotid gland? Glossopharyngeal nerve. So glossopharyngeal nerve supplies the parotid gland. अब glossopharyngeal nerve एक ही काम नहीं करता ना. It has got so many things. So glossopharyngeal nerve supplies the parotid gland. Glossopharyngeal nerve is a nerve which pharyngeal arch? Third pharyngeal arch. So third pharyngeal arch में there's only one muscle. एक muscle होता है. What's that? Stylopharyngeus. So glossopharyngeal nerve is going to supply what? Stylopharyngeus. Glossopharyngeal nerve supplies the tongue. So glossopharyngeal nerve has got so many things to do. जैसे आप बच्चों, you've got so many things. My God, you've got n number of things to do, right? So for each thing that glossopharyngeal nerve will do, उसका एक specific nucleus होगा. एक specific nucleus होगा. Like glossopharyngeal nerve parotid gland को supply करिए तो उसका एक specific nucleus होगा. Glossopharyngeal nerve stylopharyngeus को supply कर रहा है तो उसका एक अलग nucleus होगा. Glossopharyngeal nerve tongue को supply करता है तो उसका एक अलग nucleus होगा. Are you able to follow बच्चों? That means you have to know the names of all this nucleus and the location of all this nucleus. तो ये है ना brain में होगा, brain when we are studying neuroanatomy. So head and neck and neuroanatomy go hand in hand, हाँ बच्चों. Okay, so one nucleus of glossopharyngeal nerve for the stylopharynges, second nucleus of glossopharyngeal nerve to supply the tongue, third nucleus to supply the parotid gland. तो हर एक न्यूक्लियस का अपना नाम होता है. There's a name for everyone. So now you tell me, what is the name of the nucleus of glossopharyngeal nerve which supplies the parotid gland? तो पैरोटिड ग्लैंड को सप्लाई करने के लिए एक स्पेसिफिक न्यूक्लियस होगा. द नेम ऑफ द न्यूक्लियस इज inferior salivatory nucleus. Very good, Ram. Inferior salivatory nucleus. Inferior salivatory nucleus. And where is this nucleus located? Anyone? Where is this nucleus located? In the brainstem. अब ये कहाँ पे है ना? Where is this nucleus and all that we'll see in the brain stem. We'll see later in the brain. So next time, बच्चा, next time when you hear the inferior salivatory nucleus, next time अगर आप inferior salivatory nucleus सुनोगे कहीं पे भी, you should be able to tell me this is the nucleus of glossopharyngeal nerve जो parotid को supply करे. That's the nucleus of glossopharyngeal nerve which is going to supply the parotid gland. समझ में आ रहा है ये सबको बच्चों? स्मरण्य क्लियर है बच्चा? स्मरण्य, योर डाउट इज सॉल्व्ड? क्लियर? हाँ राम. Okay, this is clear. Just put your thumbs up. Now you'll understand this. So inferior salivatory nucleus. Then we have tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve, and this tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve is known as Jacobson's nerve. Sumaya, fine. Smaranya, clear है? Smaranya, Sumaya has understood. Smaranya भी है ना? Tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve will join with the sympathetic plexus and form tympanic plexus. Tympanic plexus. राम, लेक्चर देखा है क्या पहले? नहीं ना? रिकॉर्डेड लेक्चर्स देखे हो? The tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve joins with the sympathetic plexus and form the tympanic plexus. अब tympanic plexus कहाँ पे होता है? It is located on the promontory of middle ear. Tympanic plexus कहाँ पे होता है? In the middle ear. Huh? When we study the middle ear, you'll understand this. The tympanic plexus is located on the promontory of middle. From this tympanic plexus, we get a nerve. That's the lesser petrosil. The lesser petrosil nerve comes to a ganglion. देखो 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 कौन आ गया? Our ganglion has come. ये है अपना otic ganglion. And from the otic ganglion, the fibers. लास्ट लेक्चर में मैंने कराया था, बट नाउ यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इट बेटर पंकुड़ी. आई नो प्रीवियस लेक्चर में ये हो गया, आई नो, बट नाउ यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इट बेटर. दैट इज आई एम राइटिंग दिस. इट विल सप्लाई द पैरोटिड ग्लैंड. पैरोटिड ग्लैंड पता है मुझे. फाइन, जस्ट यू नो नाउ. नाउ यू टेल मी वेयर इज दिस लोकेटेड. एक मिनट, यू नो दिस नो. चलो अभी बोलो, वेयर इज दिस लोकेटेड? ये कहाँ पे है? ब्रेन स्टेम में. इंफीरियर सैलाइटरी न्यूक्लियस कहाँ पे? ब्रेन स्टेम में. So now बच्चों, from the brainstem to this ganglion, tell me what are these fibers? ये क्या fibers होगा? Sympathetic plexus है, sympathetic plexus. मरा ने ये लिखा है last time, लिखा है, don't write. So what are these fibers? From the brainstem to the ganglion, बच्चों, what are these fibers? These are the pre-ganglionic fibers. What are these fibers? post ganglionic fibers. अब बोलो, अब बोलो, what is this relation? What is this relation? ये क्या relation हो गया? What's this relation? What's this relation? The nerve begins from the brainstem, the nerve comes to the ganglion, the nerve releases in the ganglion, and now the fibers go to the parotid gland. ये relation क्या है? वेट बच्चा प्रमोटरी वगैरह को बोलूंगा मैं बाद में, पहले ये समझ लो, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. व्हाट इज दिस रिलेशन? फंक्शनल. यस, यू गॉट दिस. फंक्शनल, इससे बोलते हैं फंक्शनल रिलेशन. समझ में आ रहा है? यही है फंक्शनल रिलेशन. सी, ये है ना, दिस फ्लो चार्ट मैंने एकदम सिंपल वे में रिप्रेजेंट किया था. ये समझ में आ रहा है? ये मैंने यहां पे रिप्रेजेंट किया था. सेम थिंग आई हैव रिप्रेजेंटेड हियर. यस, यस, सेम थिंग. समझ में आया? एक बार देख लो. जस्ट गो थ्रू दिस. Just go through this. I'll tell you the facial nerve then. Facial nerve. That's beautiful. यही है वो. That was functional relation, and the ganglion is hanging from which nerve? Mandibular nerve. That is structural relation. ठीक है? Okay. Understand this. Okay. Very good. Very good. You'll understand it. एक है ना facial nerve समझ लो. एक बार facial nerve समझ में आएगा ना, everything will be clear to you. Okay. Now tell me, बच्चों, facial nerve supplies all the glands except parotid. This we know. This we know. Facial nerve supplies all the glands except parotid. Facial nerve is a nerve which pharyngeal arch. Facial nerve is a nerve second pharyngeal arch. This we know. This we know. Facial nerve also supplies the tongue. Facial nerve भी tongue को supply करता है. तो facial nerve के भी बहुत different nucleus होंगे. Right? All this nucleus will study, बच्चा, in the brain. So now you tell me, like the glossopharyngeal nerve had a specific nucleus. Glossopharyngeal nerve का वो specific nucleus था to supply the parotid gland. वैसे facial nerve का भी एक specific nucleus होगा to supply the glands of the head and neck. This nucleus is what we call as the superior salivatory nucleus. Just write with me. मेरे साथ लिखिए. Superior salivatory nucleus और एक nucleus होता है lacrimatory. Superior salivatory nucleus and the lacrimatory nucleus. So these are the nucleus of facial nerve which supplies the glands of head and neck. From the superior salivatory nucleus we get sensory branch. Sensory branch of facial. Sensory branch of facial nerve is known as nervus intermedius. Nervus intermedius, superior salivatory nucleus and lacrimatory nucleus. Then sensory branch of facial nerve. Now this sensory branch will join with motor branch. Motor branch of the facial nerve from trunk. Very good, Omkar. Trunk of facial nerve. Now this trunk of facial nerve, the superior salivatory nucleus, आप लिखिए, मेरे साथ लिखिए, superior salivatory nucleus and lacrimatory nucleus. The sensory branch of facial nerve. The sensory branch of facial nerve is known as the nervus intermedius. Nervus intermedius. Now this sensory branch will join with the motor branch of facial nerve. अब ये बना trunk. ये बना trunk of the facial nerve. Now students, can you tell me the facial nerve enters into which foramen of the skull? Follow. Facial nerve enters into which foramen of the skull? Any guesses? Any guesses? facial nerve enters into which foramen? Any guesses? Inside the skull. I've told you this. ये मैंने बोला आपको. Facial nerve enters into which foramen? Any guesses? इंटरनल एकॉस्टिक मीटर. स्टाइलोमास्टोइड नहीं राम. स्टाइलोमास्टोइड इज बाद में स्टाइलोमास्टोइड से वो बाहर आती है. स्टाइलोमास्टोइड से वो फेशियल नर्व बाहर आता है. विच फोरामेन डज इट एंटर? इंटरनल एकॉस्टिक मीटर्स. इंटरनल एकॉस्टिक मीटर्स. स्टाइलोमास्टोइड नहीं है बच्चा. इंटरनल एकॉस्टिक मीटर्स याद है, पिट्रस पार्ट ऑफ टेम्पोरल बोन के अंदर होता है इंटरनल एकॉस्टिक मीटर्स. उसमें 3 स्ट्रक्चर्स जाते हैं. द फेशियल नर्व, the vestibulocochlear nerve and the labyrinthine artery. Now this facial nerve enters the internal acoustic meatus. अब ये कहाँ गया? It goes in the internal ear. ये internal ear में गई. From the internal ear it comes in the middle ear. 3 ear है ना अपने पास. Internal ear, middle ear, external ear. The facial nerve enters the internal acoustic meatus, goes into the internal ear. From the internal ear it comes into the middle ear. And in the middle ear it undergoes a bend, and this bend is known as the genu. But इसे हम लिखते हैं geniculate ganglion. This is a wrong name. This has got nothing to do with our ganglion. ये बस एक bend होता है facial nerve का. Bend is known as genu. So this is what we call as a geniculate ganglion. ठीक है? So where are we now? हम कहाँ हैं? I mean, where's our facial nerve now? Can anyone tell me? Where's the facial nerve now? Facial nerve internal acoustic meatus में जाती है. It goes in the internal ear. Internal ear से वो middle ear में आती है. Middle ear. Middle ear में it undergoes a bend, and that is known as the genu. So geniculate ganglion is in the middle ear. In the middle ear, the facial nerve gives 3 branches. One is the greater petrosal nerve. Nerve 2, stapedius. Chorda tympani. Yes. So in the middle ear, the facial nerve gives 3 branches. One is the greater petrosal nerve, the nerve 2 stapedius, and chorda tympani. अब ये 3 ब्रांचेस देने के बाद द फेशियल नर्व गेट्स आउट थ्रू. अब ये फोरामेन क्या होगा? व्हाट इज दिस फोरामेन? ये है स्टाइलोमास्टोइड फोरामेन. ये है स्टाइलोमास्टोइड फोरामेन. नाउ दिस फेशियल नर्व विल गो इन अ ग्लैंड. व्हिच ग्लैंड इज दैट? पैरोटिड है ना. अब ये पैरोटिड में जाएगा. अब वो 5 ब्रांचेस देगा. ये आपको पता है. दिस यू नो. So from the facial nerve, from the middle ear, the facial nerve gets out through which foramen? Stylomastoid foramen. Stylomastoid foramen से ये कहाँ गई? In the parotid gland. तो उसके साथ कौन है? Who else is there? और कौन है? Parotid में. Facial nerve के साथ कौन है? बोल सकते हैं? Retromandibular vein, external carotid artery. यहाँ तक क्लियर है? यहां तक सबने लिखा? ओके. So the chorda tympani, अब देखो, chorda tympani will go and join with lingual nerve. Chorda tympani joins with the lingual nerve. Now comes to the submandibular. Chorda tympani joins with the lingual nerve, comes to the submandibular ganglion. Now will supply what? Submandibular lingual submandibular and sublingual gland. तो एक ये समझ में आया? Once you've done with the writing, put your thumbs up. Once you've done with the writing, put your thumbs up. ठीक है. The chorda tympani joins with the lingual nerve, goes to the submandibular ganglion, release in the ganglion. अब ये क्या supply करेगा? Submandibular and sublingual gland. So which nerve, which cranial nerve supplies the submandibular and sublingual gland? I'll tell Mukund. I'll repeat that. I'll repeat. Which nerve supplies the submandibular and the sublingual gland? Which cranial nerve? मुकुंद मैं रिपीट करता हूँ. वेट. Manikarnika. Okay. Which cranial nerve supplies the submandibular and sublingual gland? Facial nerve. Facial. Which branch of facial nerve? Which branch of facial nerve supplies the submandibular and sublingual ganglion? क्या बोलोगे? Which branch of facial nerve? Chorda tympani. Chorda tympani. Which branch of facial nerve specifically? Chorda tympani. Okay, बच्चा. Now you tell me, where is this located? ये कहाँ पे है? Where is the superior salivary nucleus located? In the brainstem. है ना? ये brainstem के अंदर है. This is in the brainstem. From the brainstem to this, to this, to this, to this ganglion. What are these fibers? What are these fibers, bacha? What are these fibers? Preganglionic fibers. What are these fibers? The postganglionic fibers. What is this relation? Functional. This is functional relation. If pathway, you get short notes on nerve supply of parotid gland, nerve supply of submandibular sublingual glands. Yes, very good. Very good. Very good. So we'll trace the greater petrosal nerve. The greater petrosal nerve joins with, ये किसको join करता है? Deep petrosal. The greater petrosal nerve joins with the deep petrosal nerve. And where does the deep petrosal nerve come from? Sympathetic. So greater petrosal nerve joins with the deep petrosal nerve, which comes from the sympathetic plexus, forms nerve of pterygoid. It forms a nerve pterygoid canal or the Ganglions. Release in pterygopalatine. It releases in the pterygopalatine ganglia. अब जो फाइबर्स बनेंगे, this will supply what? Nasal palatine. Lacrimal, nasal, palatine and pharyngeal gland. समझ में आया? Are you clear? सबसे डिफिकल्ट पार्ट है ये बच्चों. ये सब एंड आई अगेन टेल यू इन न्यूरो एनाटॉमी, बट आई टेल यू इन अ डिफरेंट वे. जब अपन ब्रेन पढ़ेंगे आई टेल यू एवरीथिंग. ये सब अपन पढ़ेंगे बट इन अ डिफरेंट वे, ऑल टुगेदर डिफरेंट वे. ठीक है? क्लियर? डन विद द राइटिंग? Okay, now you tell me, where is this located? Obedience now, huh? Where is this located? In the brainstem. From the brainstem to this, to this, to this, to this ganglion. What are these fibers? Boliye bacha. From the brainstem to this ganglion. What are these fibers? Preganglionic fibers. What are these fibers? Postganglionic fibers. What is this relation? What is this relation? Functional. This is functional relation. Up clear है how the facial nerve is functionally related to two ganglions, the pterygopalatine and the submandibular ganglia. ओके, हाउ द फेशियल नर्व इज फंक्शनली रिलेटेड टू टू गैंग्लियंस, ये मैंने शॉर्ट में बोला था आपको, द टेरिगोपैलेटाइन एंड द सबमैंडिबुलर गैंग्लियन. यस, राइट. एंड नाउ यू टेल मी बच्चा, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस? एक मिनट, एक मिनट. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस? व्हाट इज ऑल दिस? ये इसका मतलब क्या है? एक स्टेटमेंट लिखा था आपने, देखो, एक स्टेटमेंट लिखा था आपने. वी हैड रिटन अ स्टेटमेंट. व्हाट इज ऑल दिस इन येलो? एक स्टेटमेंट लिखा था आपने. नर्व टेरिगॉइड कैनाल और वीडियंस नर्व है, स्मरण, वीडियंस, VIDIAN, नर्व टेरिगॉइड कैनाल और द वीडियंस नर्व. इसका मतलब क्या है? व्हाट इज ऑल दिस इन येलो? येलो, I'll repeat that, Smarana. Don't worry, I'll repeat that. हाँ बोलो. नहीं नहीं, एक स्टेटमेंट था वो. All the glands in the head and neck are supplied by whom? Facial nerve. ये है all the glands. यही है all the glands. यही है all the glands. So which gland does it not supply? Parotid. अब वो parotid को क्यों नहीं सप्लाई करता है? There's a reason for that. That reason I'll tell you later. वो reason बाद में बोलता हूँ. बाकी facial nerve supplies all the glands in the head and neck, but वो parotid को नहीं supply करता. There's a reason for that. So parotid is therefore supplied by whom? Glossopharyngeal nerve. Understanding? You understand what is structural, what is functional relation? Perfect. एक बार देख लो, एक बार देख लो. Just go through this. Maranne, you'll understand. एक minute, I'll just show you one slide. See, this is a beautiful slide. ठीक है? This pathway is very important है. मैंने बहुत simple way में बताया आपको ये बात. अरे मेरे बच्चा, स्मरण्य, ब्रेन स्टेम से गैंग्लियन तक है ना, दैट इज प्री गैंग्लियोनिक, एंड गैंग्लियन से ग्लैंड तक, दैट इज पोस्ट गैंग्लियोनिक. अंडरस्टैंड स्मरण्य? ब्रेन स्टेम से गैंग्लियन तक जो फाइबर्स होते हैं ना, दैट इज प्री गैंग्लियोनिक, एंड गैंग्लियन से ग्लैंड तक जो फाइबर्स है ना, वो पोस्ट गैंग्लियोनिक है ना. ये पैरासिम्पैथेटिक नर्वस सिस्टम है, तो पैरासिम्पैथेटिक नर्वस सिस्टम में क्या होता है? द प्री गैंग्लियोनिक फाइबर्स आर वेरी लॉन्ग, नो, एंड पोस्ट गैंग्लियोनिक फाइबर्स आर शॉर्ट, है ना. ओके, चलो, आई विल स्टार्ट विद दिस. क्विकली यू आंसर दिस, क्विकली यू आंसर. चलो, विल बिगिन. व्हाट इज दिस गैंग्लियन? चलो बच्चों, आंसर दिस. व्हाट इज दिस गैंग्लियन? शॉर्ट में लिखना, शॉर्ट में, जस्ट राइट इट इन शॉर्ट. What is this ganglion? Answer. Pterygopalatine. What is this nerve? What is this nerve? What is that nerve? What is that nerve? Ganglion is hanging. देखो ना, hanging from the nerve. Oh, what is that nerve? बोलो बच्चों, बोलो, fast, fast, fast. Maxillary nerve. Okay, that's maxillary nerve. Very good. What is this relation? What is this relation? What is that relation? The nerve is hanging. I mean, the nerve is suspending the ganglion. The ganglion is hanging from the nerve. What is that relation? Structural. That's structural relation. Structural. Fine. What is this ganglion? That's a submandibular ganglion. सबमैंडिबुलर गैंग्लियन। ये नर्व कौन है? ये नर्व क्या है? लिंगुअल नर्व. The submandibular ganglion is hanging from the lingual nerve. So what is this relation? Structural. What is this ganglion, bacha? What is this ganglion? That's a ciliary ganglion. What is this nerve? ये क्या nerve होगा? That's a nasociliary nerve. Ciliary ganglion, that's a nasociliary nerve. What is that relation? Structural relation. What is this ganglion? That's a otic ganglion. Otic ganglion. What is this nerve? ये nerve कौन है? Mandibular nerve. Mandibular nerve. So what is that? Structural relation. That is structural. Okay. So I've told you the structural relation. Now understand this. एक बार समझ लो. Everything will be clear to you. Okay. What is this nerve? Just see this. Huh? What is this nerve? That's a facial nerve. The facial nerve is entering into this foramen. What is that foramen? That's the internal acoustic meatus. The facial nerve now comes in the internal ear, then comes in the middle ear. That is the bend of facial nerve. What is this bend known as? Genu. Genu. The facial nerve then gets out through what is this foramen now? Stylomastoid foramen. And then it would go into the parotid gland. Parotid gland. Yeah. So facial nerve enters the internal acoustic meatus, internal ear, then the middle ear. It undergoes a genu, then it gets out through the stylomastoid foramen. In the middle ear, it gives a branch. Look at this. What is this branch? This is the chorda tympani. And ये जो chorda tympani है ना, it gets outside the skull. And this chorda tympani will go and join with what? अब ये कौन है? That's the lingual nerve. This chorda tympani joins with the lingual nerve, now goes in a ganglion. What is this ganglion? Submandibular ganglion. And it would now supply the submandibular and sublingual gland. It would then supply the submandibular and sublingual. Clear? Okay, so that's about the functional relation. Understand this branch of facial nerve. What is this now? What is this branch? This is the greater petrosal nerve. Greater petrosal. वो आर्टरी के पीछे से जा रहा है. Now this greater petrosal nerve, see, this is the greater petrosal nerve. अब ये जो greater petrosal nerve है ना, it will join with the sympathetic plexus. So ये जो white दिख रहा है, that's a sympathetic plexus. So what is this nerve which comes from the sympathetic plexus? That's a petrosal nerve, deep petrosal. So greater petrosal nerve joins with the deep petrosal nerve and forms bond. What is this now? What is this, ek beta? What is this nerve? That's a nerve of pterygoid canal. Tortuous नहीं है वो, tortuous नहीं है. It's not tortuous. Just have a look at this. Once again, have a look at this. Okay, students, have a look. Now, दैट्स अ ग्रेटर पेट्रोसल नर्व. अब दिस ग्रेटर पेट्रोसल नर्व है ना आर्टरी के पीछे से आती है. From the sympathetic plexus around the artery, what is this nerve which comes here? What is this nerve? That's the deep petrosal nerve. The deep petrosal nerve joins with the greater petrosal nerve. अब ये क्या है? That's a Viden's nerve. The Viden's nerve. Now this Viden's nerve will go in a ganglion. What is this ganglion? That's the pterygopalatine ganglion. And what are these? These are the postganglionic fibers which supply the nasal glands, the palatine gland, the pharyngeal glands, the lacrimal. Yeah, now I hope this is clear to all of you students. एक बार देख लो, just go through this. I hope this facial nerve and all is clear. Okay, very good. I'll tell you one more topic. Not just understand this. I'll tell you one more topic. हाँ, ये ना ये difficult topic. I'll tell you functional components of the nucleus. Functional component. But बच्चा, पंकुड़ी, diagram you will understand only if you know the theory, है ना? फेशियल नर्व इंटरनल एकोस्टिक मीएटस से मिडिल ईयर में आती है. इंटरनल ईयर देन मिडिल ईयर. स्मरण या पहले इंटरनल ईयर देन मिडिल ईयर. ठीक है ना पंखुड़ी? देखो डायग्राम्स आर वेरी इजी बट वो समझने के लिए थियोरी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. नो, देखो अगर वो डायग्राम इफ यू हैव जस्ट सीन, कुछ नहीं समझता वो डायग्राम में. इफ यू शो इट टू योर फ्रेंड्स, नो, एक बार फ्रेंड को दिखा के पूछो ये डायग्राम में क्या दिया है, दे विल नॉट नो एनीथिंग. But now you know that this is the function, this I mean this is representing the parasympathetic nervous system. And अभी आपको पता है what is medians nerve, what is deep petrosal nerve, what is greater. फिर वो डायग्राम आप देखोगे ना, oh, it is just beautiful. मतलब when someone has drawn this diagram in that time, during that time, so difficult, right? है ना? चलो, बस ये एक टॉपिक है ना, थोड़ा सा एनर्जी इसमें डाल दो. अंडरस्टैंड दिस टॉपिक, ब्यूटिफुल टॉपिक. फ्रॉम टेरिकोपैलेटाइन गैंग्लियन, बच्चा वो पोस्ट गैंग्लियनिक फाइबर है. स्मरण या पोस्ट गैंग्लियनिक फाइबर है जो रेडिएट होता है ना, वो पोस्ट गैंग्लियनिक फाइबर्स है जो लैक्रिमल, नेजल, पैलेटाइन एंड पैरेंजियल ग्लैंड्स को जाएंगे. ठीक है, विच नर्व रेडिएट्स आपने लिखा है ना, दैट इज पोस्ट गैंग्लियनिक फाइबर. ओके, चलो आई विल स्टार्ट. लिसन हियर, देखो एक क्रेनियल नर्व है. हाँ, जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दिस. अंडरस्टैंड दिस, पहले समझ लो. एक क्रेनियल नर्व है and this cranial nerve has to supply the muscles of pharyngeal arches, है ना. अपने पास pharyngeal arches है, 6 pharyngeal arches थे, one goes off, now there are 5 pharyngeal arches, 5 pharyngeal arches. now एक cranial nerve है XYZ, ये cranial nerve है, and this cranial nerve has to supply the muscles of the pharyngeal arches. अब बच्चों, this nerve cannot just go and supply, ऐसे ही जाके supply नहीं करेगा. This nerve should have a component in its nucleus. एक component होता है. This component should be in its nucleus. अगर nerve के पास ये component होगा, only then the nerve will supply the muscles of the pharyngeal arches. Like ये component जरूरी है. If this component is present in the nucleus, only then the nerve will supply the muscles of pharyngeal arches. Like so all the nerves will come and supply the muscles of pharyngeal arches. No, but it is not like this. Pharyngeal arches में specific nerves है. So what is the name of this component? This component is known as, I start here, special, just write with me, special visceral efferent. Special visceral efferent, it is also known as the branchiomotor component. Branchiomotor component. Special visceral efferent or branchiomotor component. जनरल नहीं बच्चा, स्पेशल है. What does this component supply? Supplies muscles of pharyngeal arches. Supplies the muscles of pharyngeal arches present in. अब बोलो, which are the nerves of the pharyngeal arches? Which is the nerve of the first arch? Fifth nerve. Second arch? Seventh nerve. Third arch? Glossopharyngeal nerve. Fourth arch? Vagus. Vagus nerve. Secretomotor नहीं है राम. Secretomotor नहीं है ये. Branchiomotor है. Branchiomotor component. मतलब I'm a nerve, huh? I'm a nerve. Make nerve है. And I want to supply the muscles of pharyngeal arches. Make nerve हूँ. I'm a nerve. And I want to supply the muscles of pharyngeal arches. I cannot just go and supply. मैं ऐसे ही supply नहीं कर सकता है. I need to have a component in my nucleus. अगर मेरे न्यूक्लियस में ये component है, what is the name of the component? The special visceral efferent. अगर ये component मेरे न्यूक्लियस में है, then I can go and supply the muscles of the pharyngeal arches. तो ये कंपोनेंट कौन से नर्व्स में होगा? द नर्व्स ऑफ द pharyngeal arches. अभी बच्चों आपको पता है which are the nerves of the pharyngeal arches? फर्स्ट आर्च की नर्व, फिफ्थ mandibular, सेकेंड आर्च facial, थर्ड आर्च glossopharyngeal and फोर्थ आर्च इज वेगस. मतलब ये जो कंपोनेंट है स्पेशल विसरल इफरेंट, ये कौन से क्रेनियल नर्व्स में होगा? 5, 7, 9 and 10th cranial nerve. I hope you're understanding. The common nucleus for tenth cranial is nucleus. Ambiguous. A common nucleus for 3 nerves, 9, 10th and cranial accessory. And what is the name of that nucleus? The nucleus ambiguous. I'll explain this. मैं explain करता हूँ. ये थोड़ा difficult है. आप लिख लो पहले. आप लिख लो. You'll understand it. Nucleus ambiguous. The common nucleus for 9th, 10th and cranial accessory is nucleus ambiguous. अब बच्चों अगेन I'll explain this. मैं सब explain करता हूँ. पहले जितना समझ सकता है उतना समझ लो. Just try to understand what you can. Again. I'm a nerve. I mean, this is my best. I just love this topics. I just love this topics. I just love them to teach. Now, I'm a cranial nerve. Again, I'm a cranial nerve. And I have to supply the glands. मुझे gland को supply करना है. Hey, I cannot just go and supply the gland. मैं ऐसे ही जाके supply नहीं कर सकता. I need to have a component in my nucleus. If I have a component in my nucleus, then I will be able to supply the glands. What is the name of this component? The name of this component is general visceral efferent. General visceral efferent is also known as the secretomotor component. Cranial accessory and spinal accessory nerve अलग अलग है, हाँ वो मैं बाद में बोलता हूँ, टेल दिस लेटर। तो ये जो कंपोनेंट है ना, जनरल विसरल इफरेंट और सिक्रीटोमोटर, व्हाट डज इट डू? सप्लाइज द सप्लाइज द ग्लैंड, represent cranial part of parasympathetic nervous system present in P7, 9, and 10. P7, 9, and 10 failure. The general visceral efferent, also known as the known as the secretomotor component. अब ये कंपोनेंट क्या करेगा? ये कंपोनेंट ग्लैंड को सप्लाई करता है बच्चा, ग्लैंड को। सो इफ एनी नर्व हैज टू सप्लाई अ ग्लैंड, it should have this component in its nucleus. अब आपको पता है which are the cranial nerves which supply the gland. Seventh nerve supplies all the glands except parotid. Ninth nerve supplies the parotid. 10th nerve supplies the glands of GIT. So this component will be present in which nerves? 7th, 9th and 10th. But we take the third nerve here. थर्ड नर्व को भी लेते हैं बच्चों। थर्ड नर्व डज नॉट सप्लाई एनी ग्लैंड। थर्ड नर्व कोई ग्लैंड को नहीं सप्लाई करता है, बट थर्ड नर्व सप्लाइज टू मसल्स व्हिच आर पैरासिम्पैथेटिक। व्हाट इज दैट? द स्फिंक्टर पिपली एंड सीलियरिस मसल। मुकुंद, I'll explain that. Wait. Sphincter pupilla and ciliaris muscle. So third nerve represents what? Parasympathetic nervous system. So we take the third nerve. मुकुंद, एक कॉमन न्यूक्लियस होता है तीन नर्व्स के लिए, 3, 7, 9, 10 एंड क्रेनियल एक्सेसरी को एक कॉमन न्यूक्लियस होता है, उसका नाम है न्यूक्लियस एम्बिगुअस। The nucleus ambiguous is a common nucleus of which three nerves? 9, 10th and cranial axis. I'll make it simple. Wait, bacha. I'll make it simple. Don't worry. इतना क्लियर है? Okay. Okay. Now look. मैं ना I'll explain in a different way. ये थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट है बच्चा, मैं ना अलग वे में एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ। चलो, इतना हो गया। दिस मच इज डन। राइटिंग इज डन। राइटिंग इज डन। बोलो बच्चों, राइटिंग इज डन। थोड़ा थोड़ा देर कॉन्सेंट्रेट करो, थोड़ा थोड़ा सा। फर्स्ट आर्च नर्व इज मैंडिबुलर नर्व। मैंडिबुलर नर्व है बट फिफ्थ लिखते हैं उसको, वी राइट इट एज फिफ्थ। मैंडिबुलर, यस, इट्स अ ब्रांच ऑफ फिफ्थ ना बच्चा। वरन्य, मैंडिबुलर इज अ ब्रांच ऑफ ट्राइजेमिनल बच्चा, है ना? ओके फाइन। नाउ अंडरस्टैंड इट, आई विल मेक इट वेरी सिंपल। चलो, वी कम टू द ग्लॉसोफेरेंजियल नर्व। हाँ, ऐसे अब समझ लो, ऐसे ऐसे समझ लो। ग्लॉसोफेरेंजियल नर्व, टेल मी व्हाट इज द ग्लॉसोफेरेंजियल नर्व सप्लाई? आंसर। What is the glossopharyngeal nerve supply? You tell me what it supplies. मैं आपको components बोलता हूँ। You just tell me what is the glossopharyngeal nerve supply. जितना आपको पता है, whatever you know till now, बच्चा, what is the glossopharyngeal nerve supply? बोलो, I will tell you the component. Start. What is the glossopharyngeal nerve supply? Short में लिखिए। Ambiguous मतलब क्लियर नहीं है। एम्बिग्विटी होता है ना, एम्बिग्विटी, दैट इज नॉट क्लियर, दैट इज व्हाट न्यूक्लियस एम्बिगुअस। ओके, वेरी गुड। नाउ लिसन स्टूडेंट्स, जस्ट 10 मिनट्स कॉन्सेंट्रेट। ग्लॉसोफेरेंजियल नर्व सप्लाइज द पैरोटिड ग्लैंड, ठीक है ना? पैरोटिड ग्लैंड, वेरी गुड वेरी गुड वेरी गुड वेरी गुड। ग्लॉसोफेरेंजियल नर्व सप्लाइज द पैरोटिड। टू सप्लाई द पैरोटिड ग्लैंड, वो कौन सा कंपोनेंट है जो ग्लॉसोफेरेंजियल नर्व शुड हैव इन इट्स न्यूक्लियस? कम ऑन स्टूडेंट्स, to supply the parotid gland, what component should the glossopharyngeal nerve have in its nucleus? Name. मैंने दो ही component बोला आपको. I've just told you two components. Tell me. To supply the parotid gland, what is the component which the glossopharyngeal nerve should have in its nucleus? General visceral efferent component. General visceral efferent component. Very good. And what is this component supply? पैरोटिड ग्लैंड. ये कंपोनेंट क्या सप्लाई करेगा? पैरोटिड ग्लैंड. समझ में आ रहा है? एंड वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. एंड ये पैरोटिड ग्लैंड सप्लाई करने के लिए व्हाट इज दैट न्यूक्लियस? व्हाट इज द न्यूक्लियस ऑफ द ग्लॉसोफेरिंजियल नर्व व्हिच विल बिलोंग टू दिस कंपोनेंट? वो न्यूक्लियस का नाम क्या है? इंफीरियर सलाइवेटरी न्यूक्लियस. इंफीरियर सलाइवेटरी न्यूक्लियस. समझ में आया? It's the inferior salivary. What else is the glossopharyngeal nerve supply? What else is the glossopharyngeal nerve supply? The muscle of the third arch. एक थर्ड आर्च का मसल है ना जिसका नाम है साइलोफैरिंजिस. डोंट राइट दिस. ये लिखना नहीं. डोंट राइट दिस. Stylopharyngeus. Stylopharyngeus is a muscle of third arch. Students, to supply the muscle of the third arch, what is the name of the nucleus of glossopharyngeal nerve? Come on. To supply the muscle of the third arch, what is the name? I mean, what is the component? What is the component of glossopharyngeal nerve? What is that component? That's the special visceral efferent. Special visceral efferent. Stylopharyngeus third arch का muscle है ना? Special visceral efferent. And what is the name of the nucleus? What's the name? Name. Nucleus ambiguous. Nucleus ambiguous. Nucleus ambiguous कॉमन न्यूक्लियस है 3 नर्व्स के लिए, 9th, 10th एंड cranial axis. तो ये न्यूक्लियस ambiguous 10th को भी होगा, 9th को भी होगा एंड cranial accessory को भी होगा. समझ में आ रहा है बच्चा? और भी बहुत है इसमें. ये है efferent components. और भी बहुत है, afferents भी है. So when you study the cranial nerve ना बच्चा, when you study the cranial nerve, the first thing what you'll be reading is the functional components. The first thing when we discuss any cranial nerve, the first thing would be functional components. Second would be the nuclei of the cranial nerve. Nuclei are this. समझ में आ रहा है? तो is it clear? Cranial nerves will study later, बच्चों, and all these things will study neuroanatomy also. थोड़ा थोड़ा समझ में आ रहा है ना? बस that is enough. धीरे धीरे समझ में आता है. ये these things are difficult बच्चों, but still I am very happy that you are able to understand things. I'm really happy. Very good. You are understanding it very well. वो है ना, याद रखने के लिए you have to revise. No other option. You just have to revise. एक लास्ट कंपोनेंट बाकी है, तीसरा. I just finished that third component. दो कंपोनेंट आपने लिखा ना, थर्ड कंपोनेंट. कंपोनेंट इज इन द न्यूक्लियस. वो कंपोनेंट है ना न्यूक्लियस के अंदर है. मतलब अगर ये न्यूक्लियस है ना, इसके अंदर अलग अलग कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं. यस, गुड क्वेश्चन. ओपन कंपोनेंट इज विद इन द न्यूक्लियस. एक तीसरा कंपोनेंट है, खत्म करते हैं, देन विल स्टॉप. जनरल सोमैटिक efferent. जनरल सोमैटिक efferent. तो नहीं कर रहा है. ओके, डिबग कर, मैं देखता हूँ. I'll see. जनरल सोमैटिक efferent supplies is derived from yes, Pankudi, yes, supplies the muscles derived from occipital myotomes. Occipital myotomes supplies the muscles derived from occipital myotomes. ये कौन है? एक्स्ट्रा ocular टंग मसल. ये ऑक्सीपिटल मायोटोम्स, वेयर हैव आई टोल्ड यू? कहीं पे सुना है आपने ये ऑक्सीपिटल मायोटोम्स? ये ऑक्सीपिटल मायोटोम्स कहाँ पे सुना है आपने? वेयर हैव आई टोल्ड यू दिस? इसका रेफरेंस कहाँ पे दिया था मैंने? ऑक्सीपिटल मायोटोम्स ये लिखा आपने. ये रिटन अ स्टेटमेंट. कहाँ पे लिखा है बोलो बच्चा? कहाँ पे लिखा है ये स्टेटमेंट? डेवलपमेंट ऑफ टंग याद है? डेवलपमेंट ऑफ टंग, उसमें एम्ब्रियोलॉजी ऑफ टंग पढ़ा है ना आपने? हाँ, ऑक्यूलर मसल्स, एक्स्ट्रा ऑक्यूलर मसल्स एंड टंग मसल्स. हाँ, डेवलपमेंट ऑफ टंग में एंटीरियर 2/3, पोस्टीरियर 1/3, पोस्टीरियर मोस्ट पार्ट ऑफ द टंग आपने लिखा. देन यू हैव रिटन मसल्स ऑफ द टंग आर derived from occipital myotomes. The muscles of the tongue are derived from occipital myotomes. That is why motor nerve supply of tongue is different and sensory nerve supply is different. जो pharyngeal arch में वो part बनता है वो उसका sensory nerve supply. Anterior 2/3 is formed in which arch? First arch. तो उसका nerve supply is different. Posterior 1/3 third arch में बनती है. Understand? So that is sensory nerve supply. Whereas motor nerve supply of the tongue, muscles of the tongue are derived from occipital myotomes. So my dear children, if you have understood this, tell me this component would be present in which nerves? Present in the nerves which supply the extraocular and tongue muscles. Tell me which nerves will this be? Which nerves will this be? Ah, hypoglossal nerve. Very good. Extraocular muscles. Muscles of the eye को कौन supply करता है? All the muscles of the eyeball are supplied by which nerve? Third nerve. Except lateral rectus, which is supplied by sixth nerve, and the superior oblique, which is supplied by fourth nerve. So extraocular muscles का nerve supply कौन है? Third, fourth and sixth nerves. 3, 4th and 6th and 12th nerve. ऑप्टिक नहीं है बच्चा, ऑप्टिक नहीं है सुमैया. ऑप्टिक नर्व इज गोइंग टू द ब्रेन. वो सेंसरी है, ये मोटर है. मोटर. ऑप्टिक नर्व इज सेंसरी नर्व चिल्ड्रन. ये हम लोग क्या डिस्कस करें? इफरेंट. इफरेंट इज मोटर, मसल्स को सप्लाई करेंगे. ठीक है सुमैया? विच नर्व्स इज इट प्रेजेंट? 3, 4, 6 and 12th nerve. This is clear to all of you? Done? ये ना सब पढ़ लो एक बार and just go through all this. एक बार देख लो. If you have any doubts, you tell me. क्वेश्चन कैसे होगा ना? क्वेश्चंस आई टेल यू. वेट, अभी तक ये टॉपिक कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ है. दिस टॉपिक इज नॉट कंप्लीटेड. लेट मी फिनिश द टॉपिक, देन आई टेल यू द क्वेश्चंस. Like nucleus ambiguous is a common nucleus for which cranial nerve? Or the superior salivary nucleus represents which functional component? ये बोल सकते हो? Superior salivary nucleus represents which functional component? Answer this. Any guesses? Superior salivary nucleus represents which functional component? Asif, बोलो. General visceral efferent. Yes. Yes. अभी तक वो न्यूक्लियस यू डोंट नो. हर एक कंपोनेंट के अपने अपने न्यूक्लियस होते हैं. दैट यू डोंट नो नाउ. है ना? वो ब्रेन में समझ में आएगा. तो अगेन इन द ब्रेन आई विल एक्सप्लेन दिस टॉपिक बट इन अ टोटली डिफरेंट वे. वहाँ पे द अप्रोच विल बी डिफरेंट. बट बाय दैट टाइम यू शुड बी नोइंग ऑल दिस. शुड बी नोइंग ऑल दिस. मतलब जो मतलब जो टंग का है ना, मसल्स ऑफ द टंग को हाइपोग्लॉसल नर्व सप्लाई करती है. तो दैट हाइपोग्लॉसल नर्व विल हैव अ स्पेसिफिक न्यूक्लियस जिसका नाम है हाइपोग्लॉसल न्यूक्लियस. वो एक बार न्यूक्लियस समझ में आएगा ना, तो देन यू विल अंडरस्टैंड एवरीथिंग. बस इतना यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड फर्स्ट. I hope this is clear to all of you students. This is the most difficult part to understand. At least whatever you've understood, it is fine for me, bacha. See, everything cannot be understood in one single lecture. It takes time. And my job is to make it simple and tell you. अब मैंने ये बोला है, next time in the further lectures we'll go more into detail. Everything cannot be taught in one single lecture. It is not like a compartment. And I never do this. मतलब वो just finish the lecture ऐसे नहीं. You have to understand. And to understand it takes time. है ना? So you don't worry. सब समझ में आ जाएगा. See, I believe in concepts. If you are very thorough with your concepts, now you will understand the approach to that. है ना? दो तीन टॉपिक्स रह गए that I'll tell you. Later I'll tell you that. Paranya, my dear child, tongue muscles of the first and second derived from occipital martums. ऐसे नहीं है. All the muscles of the tongue are derived from occipital martum. All the muscles. एक बार पढ़ लो sensory nerve supply पढ़ लो. Now I'll start with embryo. इसके बाद I'll start with embryology. I'll start with general embryo. Next time. Next lecture में I'll start with general embryo. Because है ना इसके बाद करूँ जनरल एम्ब्रियो पहले खत्म करते हैं. देन विल स्टार्ट विद थोरैक्स. थोरैक्स इज अ स्मॉल टॉपिक बट थोरैक्स का ग्रॉस इज वेरी इजी. डिफिकल्ट ऑफ थोरैक्स इज एम्ब्रियो. न्यूरोएनाटॉमी विल सी लेटर. ये इतना only a small part is related to neuroanatomy. So next time I'll start with general embryo. I will not start with spermatogenesis, oogenesis. I'll directly start with the important topics. The fertilization, the what happens in second week, what happens in third week. I mean, it is beautiful to understand those topics. Beautiful. Okay. So next 2 lectures I'll take embryology and then start with some topic. HFN का 2-3 topics are left. I'll tell that. बीच में मैं बोल दूंगा वो. I was thinking of finishing this, but नहीं हुआ. That's okay. I'll finish that. Don't worry. ठीक है राम. Okay. Fine. This much you've understood now. That's okay. That's okay. हाँ एक बार पढ़ लो. Just keep on revising this up. See, this is very volatile. ये बहुत जल्दी भूल जाते हैं. So every time you revise this and discuss करना. बच्चों, you discuss with your friends. I have learned efferent components today. So can I explain you efferent components? Then you start. First, special visceral efferent. ये component क्या करता है? It supplies the muscles of pharyngeal arches. तो ये component कौन से nerves में होगा? The nerves of the pharyngeal arches. And आपको पता है which is the nerve? First arch, mandibular nerve. Second arch, facial nerve. Third arch, glossopharyngeal nerve. Fourth and sixth, vagus. मतलब ये जो कंपोनेंट होगा स्पेशल विसरल इफरेंट, ये कौन से नर्व्स में होगा? 5, 7, 9 and 10. And now there's a common nucleus for the 9th, the 10th and the cranial accessory. This is the nucleus ambiguous. एक दूसरा कंपोनेंट है, सुनो 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 सुनो, यू शुड टेल योर फ्रेंड्स लाइक दिस, अरे सुनो, एक दूसरा कंपोनेंट है, ये कंपोनेंट क्या सप्लाई करता है, ग्लैंड्स को सप्लाई करता है। एंड व्हाट इज द नेम ऑफ दिस कंपोनेंट, जनरल विसरल इफरेंट, इसका दूसरा नाम है सिक्रीटोमोटर कंपोनेंट, सिक्रीटोमोटर कंपोनेंट। So this component is going to supply the glands. तो ये component कौन से nerves में होगा, 3, 7, 9 and 10। तो 7 nerve सारे glands को supply करती है, 9th nerve head and neck को supply करती है, 10th nerve supplies the glands of GIT। Yes Vivek, I'm talking। बस एक्सेप्शन है थर्ड नर्व, थर्ड नर्व कोई ग्लैंड सप्लाई नहीं करता है, बट थर्ड नर्व सप्लाइज टू मसल्स, द स्फिंक्टर पिपली एंड सीलैरिस। एंड द लास्ट वन इज जनरल सोमैटिक इफरेंट, ये कंपोनेंट क्या सप्लाई करता है, द मसल्स व्हिच आर डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम ऑक्सीपिटल मायोट्यूब्स, एक्स्ट्राओक्युलर एंड टंग मसल्स। सो 3, 4, 6 एंड 12। हमारा न्याय है HFN इज हेड फेस एंड नेक, हेड फेस नेक। ओके, एक दो टॉपिक्स हैं दैट आई विल टेल यू इन बिटवीन। हाँ, नेक्स्ट टाइम से आई विल स्टार्ट विद जनरल एम्ब्रियो। ओके बच्चों, thank you my dear children, thank you and good night, thank you। हेड फेस नेक है, different component is motor। क्या क्या राम, फ्राई सिंड्रोम में फाइबर्स रीजनरल मिक्स पर नर्व तो कभी डिवाइड है, फाइबर्स मिक्स होते हैं, वो ग्रीटा ऑरिकुलर एंड ऑरिकुलर टेम्पोरल नर्व के फाइबर्स मिक्स होते हैं, रीजनरेशन होता है ना फाइबर्स का, जैसे एन इंजरी है तो रीजनरेशन के टाइम वो मिक्स हो जाता है। ओके, थैंक यू माय डियर चिल्ड्रन, थैंक यू, बाय बाय।